you have any comment cards?
I just need one point of clarification. Sorry, Kai. You put 9. Did you want 9.2, 9.1, 9.2, or 9.3, Kai? Brown?
I believe it was 9.2.
Okay, 9.2. All right. So then none for 9.1.
Okay. Do we have a presentation?
Good evening, and audience, thank you for being here. I'm going to call up Roberta Holloman. She is our newest member to our Parcel Tax Committee. As you recall, each year we come back to the board and present an update on how the Parcel Tax Committee has been doing their work, their due diligence, and making sure that the Measure A funds are being spent in accordance with the ballot language. So let me introduce Roberta, and she can kind of give you a little bit of what we've been doing.
Good evening, board members. I'm Roberta Holloman. I'm the new kid on the block. I've been to one meeting, but I'm not new to oversight committees. I was on the very first bond oversight committee for the Cupertino Union School District, and I've been on 2 committees for the Fremont Union High School District. But I can report to you that we had a meeting, and we looked at the reports, and we have come up with a recommended or a draft of a report to send to the public, to the community, and that will be coming to you soon. I think that's about all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Roberta. Anyone have any questions?
Just a comment. I'm glad you're on the committee. Thank you for joining us, Roberta.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a comment.
Sorry?
Welcome to the committee. I have a question.
Yes.
So in your first committee, did you get the meeting packet right at the meeting, or did you get it in advance?
I believe it was in advance. I don't remember.
So did you think you had enough time to go through the meeting packets?
Yes.
For you to make decision?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Item number 9.2, we have a comment card.
Yeah, we have a couple speakers on 9.2. Our first speaker is Kai Brown.
Thank you for letting me speak again. It's rare I speak twice in one night. I represent the teachers of Cupertino. I'm Kai Brown, president of CEA. Sorry, I'll try to keep my teacher voice down. As teachers, we care deeply for our students and the safety of our students. We actively participate in fire drills, in making sure that we're prepared in case of earthquakes, and also we prepare for other horrible events such as active shooters in classrooms and code blues. So one of our primary concerns is the safety of our children. However, we also believe that there is a real separation between the responsibilities of the school district and the responsibilities of cities. And it is our opinion that when it comes to paying for crossing guards, that falls in the realm of public safety, and that is something that should be the responsibility of cities to pay for. I feel like agreeing to pay for that would be a very slippery slope. What's next? Are we going to start having to pay for policemen to come out when they have to come out to schools and help us out there? So I know there are parents here who are very upset about the lack of crossing guards in certain areas, and I would urge you to take that up with your city councils, because those are the people who you should be directing your anger to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. So I have to ask this question because I have, so I apologize. So I have Danielle Spurrier and Lorian Cunningham. You're on the same card?
We just have a comment together.
Okay, all right, just trying to clarify. All right, and is it 9.2 and 9.3 or just one item?
It's speaking to both.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right, perfect. Speak to both. Yeah.
Just for
Sorry, just checking. I want to make sure it's
just to be
accurate.
efficient.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Danielle Spryer, Montclair's PTO Safe Routes to School Advocacy Chair.
I'm Lorian Cunningham. I am the Montclair School Site Counselor.
And on behalf of many concerned parents at our school, we are eager to hear the crossing guard discussion this evening. As you know, we feel strongly about implementing crossing guards at all warranted locations in the Montclair attendance area. Our organization has expressed its commitment by showing our willingness to help with a short-term solution by contributing to the co-funding of crossing guards in Los Altos for the remainder of this year, if you sign the required contract with the city of Los Altos. And you have been sent the resolution last week to take a look at, and then I'm gonna just hand it for public record.
I'd just like to really quickly say to Kai's comment, as you know, we've discussed many times before, but just to reiterate, Los Altos is different. It is impossible for us, even working with our city under their current regulations right now, for us to access guards without your help. And so unlike the other cities which do have access to their crossing guards through their city councils, we do not unless you partner. So we're kind of a unique situation, as you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next, this is for, sorry, so no more for 9.2, so we can go ahead with that.
Okay.
Good evening. On the November 15th meeting, I was asked to come back and share some additional information about crossing guard status. So I am going to report on 3 cities specifically, and then give you a little bit of an overview of the other 3. San Jose, Santa Clara, and Saratoga, as we reached out to them to determine what their additional crossing guard needs are. If you recall at the last meeting, I shared with you what each city was, what they funded, and how many guards were placed in each area. All 3 cities, San Jose, Santa Clara, and Saratoga, do not have any outstanding needs or requests pending for additional crossing guards. As we know, Saratoga, the city of Saratoga, does not do feasibility studies. In addition to that, they do not fund crossing guards at all. So right now, we don't have any crossing guards in the Saratoga area. Both San Jose and Santa Clara have crossing guards in every location that they feel are warranted at this time. Each of the cities goes out annually, or as they are adopting a new master plan, to determine whether or not additional guards are needed in different areas. All 5 cities do it a little bit differently. I wanted to highlight a little bit more about Cupertino, Sunnyvale, and Los Altos, because that was a lot of the discussion that we had on November 15th. As you may recall, there are 14 guards that are currently funded in the city of Cupertino. The city's cost is approximately $12,500 per guard per location. The city of Cupertino does a feasibility study to determine where guards should be placed. Right now they have 2 locations that do not have crossing guards that they are recommending crossing guards be placed. That's Greenleaf and Castine, which serve Garden Gate and Lawson, and Sorensen and Finch, which serve Sedgwick and Hyde. One of the things that has happened most recently is the city of Cupertino has come to our district to request that if any additional crossing guards are warranted, they would like our agreement to fund anything above and beyond the current 14 that are in place. So right now, they would encourage us to join into an agreement with them and fund 2 additional crossing guards in our district, which they have said even though their studies have warranted them, they will not fund them. In the fall of 2017, they will be updating their master plan. And so at that point, they may or may not have additional locations that are warranted. But as they looked at their list, the 2 that are remaining are those 2 the 2 locations that I stated. Sunnyvale is a little bit different. Currently, Sunnyvale is supporting 11 crossing guards in the city of Sunnyvale that support actually Cupertino Union School District students. As I shared at the last meeting, 4 of those 11 locations are not staffed currently. Sunnyvale is really struggling to get all of their locations staffed. So at one of their most recent meetings, they did agree to go work with an outside agency. It's actually the same agency that supports the crossing guards or hires the crossing guards in the city of Los Altos. They expect to have that agency up and running and working with them starting in January, with an expectation by the end of February, all of the locations, all of the identified locations, the 11 locations would be fully staffed. The city of Sunnyvale has also approached the district recently. They approached Wendy to talk with us about cost-sharing endeavors with any future crossing guard needs. I can't comment on what that cost would be for the city of Sunnyvale because it's a new structure for them, and so they weren't able to give us what the cost per guard would be, similar to what Cupertino could quote us or Los Altos. And then finally, Los Altos School District. We have one school, as you know, in the city of Los Altos. Currently, there are 2 crossing guards supporting students traveling to Montclair. And it is co-funded between St. Simon and the city of Los Altos. The MPTO, which is the Montclair Parent Teacher Organization, supports in that endeavor. So they currently are providing funds to St. Simon to share the cost. Due to the share cost structure that's specified in the agreement that is our next item on the board agenda, each guard that is placed, that would be serving, each guard that is placed based on a request would be approximately $2,160. I know you've heard, and it is true, that in order to move forward with any kind of analysis in the city of Los Altos, we do need to, as a district, enter into the agreement. We asked the city of Los Altos to do a feasibility study, but they wanted a guarantee that if they were to determine additional locations where crossing guards were needed, that we would be comfortable and willing to be in that co-funding or co-funding structure. As you heard from the Montclair community and PTO representatives, they have agreed that if we decide to move forward, that they would fund up to $9,000 for a short-term solution this year as we determine what that long-term fiscal impact would be for the district. One of the things about the agreement with Los Altos, how it works, is that if we enter into the agreement, then it would be the superintendent's request to the city to do an analysis or to study certain areas. And based on the walking, biking, and car audit, then they would make a recommendation on whether or not we would move forward with placing guards, whether or not it was feasible or warranted. In addition to that, I did want to share one of the community concerns that Wendy and I and the board have heard, both at Montclair and at Cupertino Middle School, is the concern about not just students coming into Montclair, but students going from Montclair to Cupertino Middle School. Because many of them may start in Los Altos, go through Sunnyvale or Cupertino on their journey to the middle school. And so one of the things that we did last week with Mara Malazzo, the principal at Cupertino Middle School, and Jean Wang, the assistant principal, we met with 3 leaders in both Sunnyvale, Cupertino, and Los Altos to begin discussing the feasibility of putting together a collaborative map. That's one of the things that the community has asked for. They've asked for the 3 cities to get together to study the paths that currently students are using, to look at the different infrastructures that are in place to ensure safety for kids, and then to come up with a collaborative map that actually gets any student that goes to Cupertino Middle School from any of those three places to school in a safe manner. And so I was thrilled. All 3 were willing and excited. Cupertino has started a pretty organic process at Homestead. The Safe Routes coordinator, Chelsea. And so she, even though very few of the students that go to CMS are actually it's probably the smallest number of our kids are from Cupertino going to Cupertino Middle School. But she has agreed to spearhead the project with the city of Sunnyvale and the city of Los Altos. And our end goal is with hopes of having Safe Routes map ready for the 2017 school year. So that's sort of update on that action item. And so with that, I'll entertain any questions you may have in regards to the additional data I brought in tonight.
Any questions? Kristen?
Montclair PDO is willing to sponsor for $9,000, which is including the existing 2 Parcel or is addition?
My assumption, just based on the email that all of us received, it would be in addition to what they're currently funding. And again, that's if, one of the things that my conversation with the city is that if we identify locations that we want them to study, do they automatically put guards there? And it would not be cost effective, so.
As we have the Montclair PTO here, maybe would they willing to clarify that question for us?
So your current.
Your question is the $9,000 in addition to the 20, well actually closer to 5,000 because it's 2 guards that we're co-funding right now?
Yes.
Yes, that $9,000 is money we've set aside in addition for guards for the rest of this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my another question is, so for Cupertino, there's another 2 identified as there's 25K extra?
Correct. So there's 2 locations in the city of Cupertino. So they've got their list of places where they believe, based on their analysis, the city of Cupertino is not in a position where they would be just placing guards there and fully funding it. And so they're requesting that we consider placing guards in those 2 locations and the district fully funding it.
So it's 25,000.
Any other questions? Leanne?
Go.
So the $9,000 from the PTO would be enough to fund 4 or 3 guards?
Yeah, so let me clarify. So
For
again,
1 year?
so what they're saying is, if we were to enter into the agreement with the city of Los Altos, Wendy, the board, based on recommendations from the community, from the principal, we would talk to the city of Los Altos and we'd say, here are 4 locations, here's 2 locations, here's how many other locations. We believe crossing guards are warranted. The city of Los Altos goes out and does their survey. They look at the number of bikes, bicycles, pedestrians, and cars to determine whether or not it was feasible. There are 2 spots that the community and Mr. Cellini have already identified in the Montclair neighborhood where they believe that crossing guards are needed. One of the things that we want to think about, though, there's Los Altos is on both sides of Foothill Expressway, and so we would also want to look at, are there areas in Los Altos on the other side of the expressway that also would warrant crossing guards in order to ensure Los Altos kids can safely get to and from Montclair, but also to and from Cupertino Middle School. And so I think it's hard to say right now exactly how many it could be. It could be 2, it could be 4, it could be, and what Montclair PTO has said is if crossing guards are deemed necessary and the Los Altos study says that they're necessary, they will support up to $9,000 for this year, as we then consider what the ramifications or what the needs and how we allocate funds for the following years.
How long it would take for the needs analysis if so we would need to say first we would want to sign the agreement, then they will start the
Correct.
study. How long it would take?
Wendy, Cedric's in the audience. Can I ask him that question? Sure. Anjali, can I ask him that question?
Yes.
I think Cedric, how long does the analysis take?
For a particular intersection, we study an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon.
Can I just stop you for a minute? If you don't mind introducing yourself,
Okay.
and maybe you want to come up there.
You can come join me. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Cedric Carbonaro, Transportation Manager for the City of Los Altos. And typically, what I do is go observe at the location for an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, over 3 or 4 days, to make sure that the numbers are consistent. And once, if the criteria is met, I make the recommendation to the police chief, which and they'll talk back with the school district regarding it meeting or not.
So just to clarify, you are the one who does the study and then you report back to the police
Yeah,
chief?
myself and my staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Cedric before he leaves? Leanne, do you have a question?
Oh, not for you.
Okay, just a minute then. Thank you, Cedric.
So, this question is for Jen. Maybe do you want to go first?
My question is about, it's my understanding that we're running a bus for Montclair students from across Foothill Expressway. So my question is my assumption accurate? And if so, what's the ridership and how does that all work?
So currently, from the opposite side of Foothill Expressway, coming towards Montclair, we have an AM bus, and we have 2 PM buses, a large bus and a mini bus. It makes 11 stops on the opposite side, and I think it's the east side, if my directions are correct, on the east side of Foothill Expressway. So there's 11 stops that they make prior to coming over to Montclair, and then obviously the same track going back. There are currently 42 riders on the bus. There is space available for additional ridership so that they are not fully filled to capacity. In that part of the district, the opposite side of Foothill Expressway, there are 186 kindergarten through 5th grade students approximately, if our grid codes are correct, that are coming from that area to Montclair, with 42 of them riding the bus.
So I assume the reason we're running 2 buses in the afternoon is because of the primary and upper
Correct.
grade dismissal times.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions?
So, excuse me, I have a cough, so I'm trying to chew this candy. This isn't a question, kind of just asking for confirmation. So as I read through the contract from the city of,
We're not on there yet.
You're on 9.2, you're on the crossing guards, you're not on the contract.
No comment.
We're still on 9.
Okay.
9.1.
Okay.
Just general.
okay, sorry.
Leanne, do you have a question on the 9.2,
Yeah.
on the general?
So, do we have data on the accident rates that around Montclair or
The what rate?
accident, bike,
Accident.
pedestrian, near miss accidents? Do we have data from?
So that is not data that I have. From what I understand from one of the speakers at our last meeting, there is a place on the state website where you can look at that accident rate. It is not data that I have. We've had parents that have spoken on concerns about driver behavior and student safety, but the number of accidents, not information that I have.
What's the percentage of students walking and biking in Montclair compared with other schools?
A lot of times through Safe Routes programs, if there's a partnership with the city, sometimes they do those walk, bike out tallies. It's not data that I have been able to collect from Montclair. I'm not sure if it's data that they have. Phyllis and myself, Cedric walks the area. When I look at it in comparison to other schools, the amount of traffic is pretty similar, and I think, it of course depends on where families are coming from. I think many of the families that are probably coming from the east side of Montclair, there may be more car traffic coming from that area, but I don't have, I've got my anecdotal data just by visually watching.
I want to say thank you for the very good data that you provided. I have more questions regarding the, so we know that Cupertino will do another master plan, which will do needs analysis in fall of 2017. And then for San Jose and Santa Clara, you say that they already has a master plan. When was that done? When was the last needs analysis for those two cities?
So those two cities, when, I don't know how they fitted into their master plan process, but those two cities, both of them, which actually all of ours are pretty open to having conversations with the exception of Saratoga, is that if there is a need, they have a process either where we talk to them and share our concerns and they schedule that feasibility study, and others do it on an annual basis. So for example, Eisenhower, which sits in the Santa Clara city, at the end of the year, they will reach back to Eisenhower Elementary School, Santa Clara does, to find out if any needs have surfaced within the last school year that they need attention. And so each city operates a bit differently. Los Altos went through a very thorough process. At this point, though, they are they're re-looking. They have a bike pedestrian committee that looks at input from community. They look at the priorities for funding, and they make recommendations to the city council on either shifting of priorities or reallocations. And so each city, again, is unique.
So I understand that for Santa Clara, they have they do analysis on demand, or is that a regular annual analysis? I'm a little confused.
The process in Santa Clara, and I can make sure that you get a copy of the packet that was shared at the last board meeting. There is analysis, if you just submit an analysis request to the traffic engineer in Santa Clara.
Then they will do analysis.
Yes.
How many crossing guards they are funding now?
In Santa Clara, 3 crossing guards that support Eisenhower Elementary School.
So they fully fund that.
Yes, they do.
Okay. I understand that Santa Clara has a city school committee where their school district at the city meets regularly with 2 city council members sitting on the committee. Is that the one who would be reviewing this kind of needs analysis?
I'm not
so
sure.
I think 2 school board members and 2 city council members.
It's not something that's been brought to my attention.
Oh, okay. So for San Jose, what's their process? They do annual analysis?
San Jose has 10 crossing guards in place, fully funded by the city of San Jose. The city, I'm sorry, I'll correct myself. That is the city that reaches out at the end of each school year to discuss traffic concerns and crossing guard needs. I said it was Santa Clara a moment ago. It's actually San Jose. And we work in partnership with 3 of the 6 cities at this point in regard to safe routes, crossing guards, PR, and parent education. We're continuing to build our partnership with Cedric at the City of Los Altos, and we have a very strong partnership with the City of Sunnyvale and the City of Cupertino. And part of it has to do with the robust programs that each of those 3 cities have to support safe routes initiatives.
I think around Hyde, the Bollinger is right in the front door of Hyde, which is a street that's between San Jose and Cupertino. That's a street that I think parents have been concerned about. Is that included in the San Jose analysis? Do you know if they've ever analyzed, if either city have analyzed that?
Right. It's not included. There are not crossing guards placed by the City of Cupertino or the City of San Jose in the Hyde area, according to the data that I got from both of those cities. And whether or not it's an area that they would analyze, again, it would be a process. So when we talked with the City of Cupertino and they shared that they had 2 locations to staff, the Hyde was Sorensen and Finch was a location that supports Hyde.
So what would be the process if we want them to do a needs analysis for that Bollinger location?
The city of
in the
Cupertino would be
future?
doing it as part of their 2017 plan.
Would
And
they
so-
say then San Jose should do it?
Right, right, well, I mean, there's parts of, yeah. So we would need to approach both of them. We would need to express an interest with Chelsea, who works for the city of Cupertino, and share that we would like them to look at the Cupertino roadways that feed into Hyde, and then engage in a similar conversation with the city of San Jose.
Thank you so much. One last question. This is a comment from parents. I understand that for the meeting with 3 cities, where you are trying to resolve the safe route to school for Cupertino Middle, and I understand the parents were not allowed to sit in on those meetings when the parents have intimate knowledge of what route their kids take and transportation mode. Is there any reason why parents are not allowed on those meetings with the cities?
So it was a preliminary meeting that we had to make sure that Chelsea, Tanya, and Cedric had an opportunity to meet one another because they're colleagues, they share similar roles. It was to determine whether or not there was an interest by all 3 cities to participate in Endeavor collaboratively. And based on their overwhelming yes, we will do it, then what Mara Malazzo and Jean Wang will be doing, they will start working with their community. We will begin a mapping project which will involve community input and community conversations. So to go to a meeting and call 3 individual cities together to see if they're interested, I wanted to make sure they were interested. I wanted their buy-in so that we can move forward in a positive way and make sure that they as a group had that opportunity to have a conversation, make sure that their interests were heard, and thrilled to say that they're very interested in gathering community input. They're going to look at the trends, the student trends. They're going to have students be part of the mapping project, and they will hold community sessions where really the purpose is to look at what routes are being used